Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for an all new episode recap of today's Days of Our Lives, November 26th, 2025. So, honestly, as usual, when it comes on to whatever Hortons are in the episode, I get really annoyed. Starting off with Miss Jennifer Devereaux or Horton Devereaux, right? Because like they're there going through, I guess, Thanksgiving cards. There was one with Doug, and of course, Julie's away visiting his grave, and it's a hard time for her, especially during the holidays. And it's been, I guess, a year anniversary since his passing or something like that. And she's there going through the cars with Thomas and Charlotte, and they bring up the topic of his dad. And of course, Thomas has the dirtiest, nastiest, brattiest attitude towards his father, that he should not be here at Thanksgiving, or it's good that he's not around. I wish he wasn't my father. Da 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 da. And Charlotte said, don't say that, like, I miss him. And of course, Charlotte is unaware of what really happened between Thomas and their dad, but at the same time, Thomas is like, you're too young, you're not understanding anything. So Jennifer, the one little credit I will give her for today, she said, it's best not to talk about your dad like that. He's just as welcome to Thanksgiving and blah blah blah, right? So Julie comes in, and Jennifer leaves the kids to, I guess, draw a turkey, something like that, make a paper turkey. And she asks Julie how she's doing or how she's holding up, because today is really hard for her with Doug's passing. And she said that it's definitely hard because the house still feels empty, even with people in the house. Is still feeling empty. She misses his warmth and all that. It's hard for her. So anyways, they talk to the children, and of course, you know they talk about Chad being invited to Thanksgiving. And Thomas is not really, he's not for that, and he's having the nastiest attitude yet again. And then Jennifer takes Charlotte away so that Julie can speak to Thomas, right? So anyways, she talks to Thomas, and she's saying, I understand that you're upset towards your father, but I'm disappointed in you with how you're behaving, right? So he said that, I just really am upset with what he did, and I really don't want him around. And she said, that's not really the most hospitable attitude to have, right? So they come back around, and then she also called Chad and invites him over Thanksgiving, and that they would want him there. And Charlotte said that she misses him, and of course Thomas cannot say that because he's still upset with him. At some point, her and Jennifer talk, and then she tells Jennifer her opinion, even though she wanted to keep it to herself and learning to keep it to herself. She's not really fond of Jennifer's idea to sue Chad for custody, to separate the children from him. And Jennifer doesn't want to do that. Jennifer, in her, twisted head, she wants to still have him around, just not mainly around to raise the children. So that, I just don't get it, because Thomas and Charlotte needs their dad, and they've already lose their mom. Jennifer is acting as if Chad did this whole, egregious thing when she's married to a predator, right? Let's not forget what Jack did to Kayla all these years ago. Like, who are they to throw any glass on, like they're any subject of high morality in here? Like, I don't get it. Like, every time I see Jennifer, my skin just crawl. I just really can't stomach that woman, right? Because she know what she's doing is wrong, and yes, she should want to be have everybody on board. Even Julie herself, as hypocritical and self-righteous as she is, looking at her like, Jennifer, you're making a bad decision, right? So move on to Steve and Kayla. They are trying to get on a date, and of course, she is swamped. She's stressed because of what's happening to Sarah, what's happening to Marlena. She just can't catch a break. At some point, Xander comes with some flowers, and she automatically assumes it's for Sarah. She said, no, Xander, she doesn't want you around. And Xander is like, okay, what happened to Sarah? Because he really genuinely didn't know he was there to, like, give Marlena some roses or flowers after hearing what happened to Marlena, right? So anyways, she is saying, I can't give out that information. And Xander saying, I don't think she will report you for violating any HIPAA. So Kayla is adamant that she doesn't want anything to do with Xander. And Steve is like, you got to dial it down a bit. And Xander's like, stay out of it, which I mean, yeah, like stay out of it. It has nothing to do with you. So, anyways, Xander still says, "All right, I'll find out anyways." And Kayla couldn't stop him. And then Steve looks at the flowers and realized that it really was from Alena. And Kayla, with her snarky attitude, she's like, how nice of him, but how on character. And I'm saying, like, people feel as if some people can change. Your husband was a thug and did a lot of questionable things. He changed, right? Why you feel as if Xander cannot change and Xander can't do things out of the goodness of his heart? Like, I'm sick and tired of these people. But anyways, moving on. So Gabby and Philip are on a nice little lunch date, and they're talking about their Thanksgiving plans. Gabby invited Philip over to her place because it's a small, intimate gathering. And she talks about making her pumpkin empanadas, and Philip said, "Oh, I don't want to impose." And she said, I mean, Leo Stark can be there for a year, and we tolerate him. I'm sure my family can tolerate you. And he said, anything I can bring. And she said, um, hey, it's fine. We got everything under control. He gets a call from Xander. And Xander is asking him, like, do you hear what happened to Sarah by any chance? So he said yes, because he saw that Steve and Kayla were in the pub as well. So he did it on the hush hush and tells Xander that, look, she had an allergic reaction, she's gonna be fine. So Xander asks him for another favor, if he can reach out to Maggie, find out where her room is, because he wants to know for sure if she's good. So he ends up texting Maggie, because he made up an elaborate plan to just send some flowers to Sarah's room. And Maggie ends up giving him the room number. So that's how he was able to tell Xander, so that Xander can find the room. Now, Gabby's asking him, are you sure that, Maggie's going to be okay with that? She's going to be upset. So he said, even if she's upset, at least I have a reason to go somewhere else at Thanksgiving, right? Later on, when Xander sees them, Xander tells them what happened with Sarah. And, they're just there with themselves. And he asks Philip if he wants to hang out at the bistro for Thanksgiving. He said, no, I already have plans. And Gabby extended the olive branch to, like, invite him over to her place. But he said, no, I just wanted to know that Philip had somewhere to go. But we already know that he wanted to be included as well. And he's seeing the two couples, both Philip and Gabby and Steve and Kayla, being romantic with each other. He already feels left out. And I feel so bad for him for the holidays that he's alone. But yeah, I think he will be hooking up with Gwen based on the upcoming trailer. So, he needs to not be alone. So I'm here for it, even if it is with Gwen. Now, Roman is trying out something new at the pub, and it's trivia night, right? So Steve and Kayla are there. We're having dinner there anyways, and he asked if they wanted to join, and Philip and Gabby also agreed, and it was a really fun segment in the episode today. Them answering questions, pop trivia, ranging from fashion to medical, and I guess the military, and they're both answering questions at some point. Gabby and Philip would have won if Philip didn't open his mouth and said something wrong, and Gabby had the right answer, but it ended up being Steve and Kayla as the winners, and they get their dinner comp, right? So they enjoyed the time there, and they said that they would do it again, and Philip would want to do it together, I guess, for a rematch. So they both went their separate ways, and Philip and Gabby are enjoying each other's company. They're happy with each other. They talk about doing a nightcap. Before that, Xander saw them in the square, and Xander updated them on Sarah's condition that Sarah was with Brady, which we'll get into at some point. And Xander's just there in the square looking at them making out, and then Steve and Kayla are making out because they, Kayla was telling Steve how turned on she was towards how he was I don't know, like, I guess inviting her somewhere. And they talk about the kids not being home for the holidays apart from Stephanie, and how Stephanie will be on her book tour soon, and that she can't join them for another trivia night or something like that. Now, Brady visited Sarah just to see how she's doing, and she's holding on, and he tells her the truth about why she ended up there, and that was because Rachel put some pistachio into her ice cream, and she's surprised, like, why would Rachel do that, how that happened. And she just wanted to hurt her intentionally, and I guess because of what happened all these years ago with her kidnapping her and then everything going on, just trying to make excuses for the girl as usual. So he ends up telling her also that she shot EJ and Kristen went to jail to protect her daughter. That was the theory they're going with. They don't confirm it as yet because obviously she is off the grid and they can't find her. But he also tells her that Belle is trying to work with the system to exonerate Kristen, hopefully get Rachel the help she need. He asked Sarah if she would press charges or do anything regarding that, and he would understand. And she said, "No, I'm already feeling sad for Rachel. I just want her to get the help she needs, and I know that you will definitely follow through with that." And again, he's blaming himself, whining about how he didn't see this at first and how he's a bad father. And, he failed her in a sense. And she said, "No, you haven't. You've done everything that you could do. And I know that you will help her. And just know that I'm praying for her." And, of course, he has to go see Marlene at some point, makes his round. While they were there having a moment, Xander comes in. Xander asks Sarah what's going on with her. She okay? So she's there with the nastiest attitude and the blank stare, like, "Yes, I'm fine. You don't have to worry about me. Everything is cool." And he said, "You're the mother of my child. Just want to know if you're okay." And, that's courteous because you guys share a child together. You co-parent. Like, I'm sure you'd want to know if he's okay, and you'd feel a type of way if you were not informed. So why this have to be like that? Like, we can't be grown? So anyways, she says, "I'm good, and I don't have to see you," and something like that. So he walks out. He did thank Brady for helping her, and because I don't know why she had to rub in his face that, oh, Brady was there to save the day and give her the EpiPen, and he's thanking her on behalf of himself and Victoria. But I'm just saying that was unnecessary. So, he said he's sorry that she had to go through that. She said, "Xander broke my heart, but you're going through a lot more, and just know that I'm going to be with you every step of the way." We already know that they're going to be a couple, and I'm not really here for it, neither here nor there. We see this in the upcoming trailer, which, have you guys checked it out? Because honestly, the trailer, I am ready for all the exciting episodes to come. I'm on the edge of my seat and the mirrors. I'm very excited. But yeah, back to this. She said Xander is to blame for everything she's gone through because Brady had to remind her that Xander was the one who switched the babies, and she would have to go through this and take away Rachel and all that. And I'm saying these people never take accountability. Everything is Xander's fault. Yes, Xander was wrong for switching the babies, but Sarah didn't have to take the baby and run and take her away from her actual parents. Like, you could have done the right thing right then and there. Like, do not blame Xander for that, right? Everything you blame Xander for. And Brady was like, "Oh, you guys a great, you probably had some great times, and you guys do share the daughter after you forgave him." And she said, "Yes, it's just I can't believe the same person that gave me the greatest gift ever, which I never regret, it can be the same person I can't stand to look at," and blah blah blah. But anyways, Brady said that he was on his rounds to go see Marlena and check in on Rachel, and Sarah gives Marlena her love and said that Rachel, she's praying for her and she's hanging in there, right? That was it, guys. Comment below your thoughts on today's episode. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to my channel. I will see you guys, well, hopefully tomorrow, because it's Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving if I do not do a review. Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays, guys.